Karam passed his Praxis Elementary Math exam using our study guide. He went from failing the exam 3 times to passing after using 240. After I saw Karam's comment, I knew I had to make a video for the Praxis Elementary Math exam to help other people just like Karam pass their test. My name is Emma, and I taught in elementary classrooms for many years. Now I work with 240 to help teachers pass their certification exams, and today I'm going to help you. This video is going to prepare you for the math portion of the Praxis Elementary Education Multiple Subjects exam. This video is going to cover 3 things: what's on the test and how to study for it, the most likely concepts that will be on the test, and we're going to look at a few practice questions. The Praxis Multiple Subjects exam is split into 4 subtests: Reading and Language Arts, Mathematics, Social Studies, and Science. Each contains a different amount of selected response questions, but for now, we're going to focus on math, which has 50 questions in all. Ready? Let's go. Now, the Praxis Elementary Education Mathematics subtest consists of 3 overarching categories. The categories are numbers and operations, algebraic thinking, and the super wordy, couldn't they think of a way to shorten it, geometry and measurement, data, statistics, and probability. Really? I have a tough time believing that's the best title they could come up with. Each category has an outline of what to expect in that category. But as you'll see here in a minute, they're still pretty overwhelming. Thankfully, we've done the research for you, and you can find exactly what you need to know in our study guide. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the key concepts now. The first category we'll look at is number 1, since it's worth the largest chunk of your exam at 40%. This means you'll see about 20 questions on your test come from this section. Should I have asked you to figure out what 40% of 50 was? How do you like a little math primer before the math section? The big things you're going to see here include understanding number theory, operations, and fractions and ratios. I know some of those titles might still be a little intimidating, but we'll translate them from math language and break down what you really need to know. Starting with number theory. Number theory basically refers to your ability to understand what a number represents. So questions on place value show up in this section a lot. That means you'll need to understand a place value chart like this one, and the value each digit within a larger number holds. For example, the digit 7 appears in each of these 3 numbers, but it holds a different value in each. In 5,237, 7 is in the ones place and has the value of 7. In 7,852, 7 is in the thousands place and has a value of 7,000. And in 82 and 47 thousandths, 7 is in the thousandths place and has a value of 0.007. Let's take a look at operations. Since you already know the value of each number, now you need to know what to do with them. So basically, you're going to need to know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and use parentheses and exponents. You're going to need to do it in the right order. Remember PEMDAS? And you'll need to be able to do all of those things with all real numbers. So that includes fractions, decimals, and negative numbers. And if that sounds like a lot, you should check out our study guide where we help you through all of it. Let me show you an example from our study material of a problem type you're likely to see on your test. Simplify this expression. See, here's PEMDAS, front and center. We use PEMDAS to know which order we need to follow as we work through the problem to make sure we get the right answer. Need help remembering the order of PEMDAS? There are lots of mnemonic devices out there, but a popular one is, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." Last one in this category, fractions and ratios. So yeah, you'll need to know about fractions and ratios, but also about decimals and percents, and how to convert between them. So if you're given a fraction, you need to be able to convert it into a decimal that represents the same value. Ooh, want to see how we teach this concept in our study guide? Let's check out one of our super helpful videos.
Let's say a problem states that there are 2 chocolate chip cookies and 3 sugar cookies in a jar. You could represent this using part-to-part comparisons. For example, 2 to 3 means that for every 2 chocolate chip cookies, there are 3 sugar cookies. Or you could do the inverse, 3 to 2. For every 3 sugar cookies, there are 2 chocolate chip cookies. We could also make part-to-whole comparisons. The whole is 2 chocolate chip cookies plus 3 sugar cookies equals 5 total cookies. For example, 2 to 5 would mean for every 5 cookies, 2 are chocolate chip. 2 over 5 is the same, just expressed as a fraction. It can be divided to form a decimal or converted to a percent. 40% of the cookies are chocolate chip.
Like what you saw? Then you should subscribe to the 240 Study Guide to get a ton more where that came from. Let's keep it moving on to algebra. Algebra is worth 30% of your exam. So 30%, that's 0.3 times the 50 questions, 15. So about 15 questions on your exam will come from category 2. The entire algebra category deals with algebraic expressions and equations. So first, you'll need to be able to evaluate and manipulate them, then you'll actually solve them. Finally, you'll look for patterns in the expressions and equations. Let's start with evaluating and manipulating. And let's pick out a skill that comes up on this portion of the exam a lot. Here we go. Sometimes you'll get a scenario and you'll need to come up with an equation that represents the scenario. Maria uses 1/4 of a stick of butter for each recipe of muffins she makes. If she makes 18 batches of muffins this month, how many sticks of butter will she use? Write the correct computation to solve the problem. You need to pick out keywords and phrases that help you build this equation. One of the things that will really help you with this section is knowing what keywords to look out for and what they mean. This is just a small sampling of words you could see in your test questions. We've got a lot more of those for you to check out in our study guide. Now that you know how to put equations and expressions together, let's take a look at how to solve them. Here's a quick tip for you. Most of this can be boiled down to one rule. Whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, do to the other side too. Let's see what that looks like.
Solve for x in the equation 3 times the quantity of x minus 4 plus 10 equals 13. Start with simplification. Since x and 4 are not like terms, the parentheses cannot be simplified as the first step. Instead, multiply by applying the distributive property. Now we combine like terms, the -12 and the +10, to get -2. Now isolate x. First, add 2 to both sides. Then divide both sides by 3. This leaves us with x equals 5. Remember, according to the properties of equality, the two expressions remain equal to each other as long as you do the same thing to both sides. Last, check the solution in the original equation by using substitution. Make sure to use parentheses to avoid sign issues. Then simplify. Since both sides simplify to the same value, 13, the value of x we found is correct.
We found x, but not that one x who made you pay for dates and ghosted you. We're never finding them again. Time to finish off algebra with patterns. A big thing here is to use the patterns you find in a set of numbers to identify the slope of a line. So you might see a function table like this one. You need to figure out the pattern to determine how much x and y are changing. In this case, the x column, the values increase by 1 every time, and in the y column, the values decrease by 2 every time. Then we can use the formula change in y over change in x to determine the slope of this line. So -2 over 1 or -2. But remember, this is just one type of pattern you may be asked to identify. So to really get the confidence you deserve, check out our study guide. The last category on the list is that mouthful dealing with geometry and statistics. This category is dense. There is a ton packed into it, and it'll fill out the remaining 30% of your exam questions. But that still means around 15 questions will come from this category, so you'll want to be prepped for this one too. Lucky for you, that's just what I'm here to do. This category breaks down into 4 smaller chunks, and each one of these chunks still has a ton of information in it. We'll still pick out one super important nugget from each that you're likely to see on your test. In the shapes section, you're going to need to know your basic shapes and the rules that govern each of them, like the formulas for finding different measurements within a known shape. So if you're given a shape and its outside measurements, you may be asked to solve for the area or perimeter. Let's try to find the area of this shape. We can split this shape into a triangle and a rectangle. From there, we can use known formulas to solve for each. The area of a rectangle is length times width. So in this case, 6 times 4, or 24. Then the triangle is 1/2 times base times height. So 1/2 times 6 times 2, or 6. Add them both together and the area of this shape is 30 centimeters squared. And here's the thing, in our study guide, we've got this information in the graphic you just saw, and we also have that same info in a video, so you can choose how you want to study. Ready to see how we measure up in measurement? A big one here is learning to estimate measures like weight and length, and choosing the appropriate units. It helps to have some real-world equivalents to compare to, like the ones we provided you here. So if someone asks you the height of a classroom, you'd likely measure it in meters. Millimeters, centimeters, and kilometers just wouldn't make sense, because your answer would be either really large or really small. Statistics and probability is next. Now, these are two words that are usually pretty intimidating, but don't worry, we've got this. A lot of what you'll see here are the measures of central tendency. So we're talking mean, median, mode, and range. Need a quick refresher here? Sounds like a great opportunity for another peek into our study guide.
The mean is more commonly known as the average. It is often represented by the Greek letter mu and is calculated by dividing the sum of the terms by the number of terms. To find the median, start by ordering the numbers from least to greatest. In a set that has an odd number of terms, the median is the middle value of that set. When there is an even number of terms, the median is found by calculating the mean of the middle two numbers. The mode is the term that occurs most frequently in a data set. Some sets of data have no mode. This occurs when all terms share the same frequency. Some sets of data have more than one mode. This happens when multiple pieces of data in a set appear the same number of times and appear more than any other data values. The range is the difference between the highest data value and the lowest data value. In general, the greater the range, the more spread out the data is. The smaller the range, the more it clusters together.
Wow, I just love a good educational video. And at the end, when she explained range, get it together, Emma. We've still got data to talk about. In this one, you're going to see a lot of, you guessed it, data. You might be given a data set and asked what type of graph or chart would be best to display the data. Or you might be given a completed graph or chart and asked to interpret it. For instance, you may be shown a graph like this one and asked, which type of movie is the most popular among children? First, make sure you know what you're looking at. Then, read the chart. And that's it. We've gone through all the categories. Here's my time to plug the 240 study guide. Teachers have so much on their plate. Don't make yourself worry about your test. Use 240 to guarantee you pass. Now that we've gone over some of the big concepts in our 3 areas, let's look at some practice questions to show you how those concepts can appear on the test. Remember way back in the beginning of the video when we talked about place value? Let's look at how that's reflected in a question. What is the value of the 7 in the number 432 and 769 10,000ths? The 7 is the second number after the decimal, so it has the value of 7 hundredths, or 7 divided by 100. So this is the correct answer. How about PEMDAS? Simplify the expression. Parentheses are addressed first, so the first step in this problem is to perform the subtraction of 6 minus 2 equals 4. From there, the problem becomes 200 minus 3 times 4 to the third power plus 10. Exponents should be handled next. In this case, 4 is raised to the third power, resulting in 200 minus 3 times 64 plus 10. Multiplication of the 3 with 64 must be completed before subtraction or addition can occur, leaving 200 minus 192 plus 10. Subtraction and addition are to be simplified in the order in which they appear from left to right. So, 200 minus 192 is 8. Add that to the 10, and we have 18. So choice A is correct. Now let's look at one where you need to convert. A class is learning about ratios and percentages. The teacher tells the class that at last Friday night's football game, there were between 800 and around 1,000 people. Of those at the football game, about 13 to 17% of the people had blonde hair. Which of the following is the most reasonable estimate of the number of people at the football game with blonde hair? We start by using 15%, the average number of 13% and 17%, as the percentage estimate. So 15% of 800 people would be 120, and 15% of 1,000 people would be 150 people. It's reasonable to estimate that between 120 and 150 people at the football game had blonde hair. 135 is the only number that fits within this range, so this is the best choice. 1 category down, 2 to go. Moving into algebra. What about those evaluating and manipulating questions? What do those look like? Maria baked 6 dozen cookies for her classmates. There are 28 students in her class. Each child received 2 cookies, and Maria gave 6 cookies each to her teacher and her principal. Which expression shows the number of cookies she had left over? The 6 times 12 gives us the total number of cookies in 6 dozen, which is what Maria is starting with. Then we need to determine how many she's giving away. Then if each child receives 2, and there are 28 children, 2 times 28. If the teacher and the principal each receive 6, that's another 6 times 2. So we have 6 times 12 minus the quantity of 2 times 28 added to 2 times 6. So this is the best choice. Nice. Now let's do one where we solve for a variable. Solve for a. Remember, this is one of those where whatever you do to one side, you need to do to the other side as well. The correct answer is a equals 10. Last up in the algebra category is patterns. What is the equation for a pattern consisting of the points 1, 5, 2, 8, and 3, 11? Our x values increase by 1, and our y values increase by 3. So 3 over 1 is 3. How you doing? Hanging in there? One more category to go. Here comes a question on shapes. What is the area in square units of the figure pictured? Just like the example we looked at earlier, we can break this into 2 smaller shapes, a triangle and a rectangle. The rectangle has sides of 5 and 4 to get an area of 20 units squared. The triangle has a base of 4 and a height of 3 to get an area of 6 units squared. Finally, we add the 2 areas together to get 26 units squared. So this answer is the best one. Next up is measurement. Which of the following is the best estimate for the height of a 1-story house? The height of a 1-story house is on average 4.5 meters, or about 15 feet long. So choice B is best. Let's look at a question on statistics. The number of inches of snowfall in Selbyville is graphed in the bar chart below. What is the mean number of inches of snowfall per month from November to March? To find the mean, we need to add up all values and divide by the number of values in the data set. So 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 8 plus 1, which equals 30. There are 5 data points, so 30 divided by 5 gives us 6. So this one is correct. Let's bring it home with a data question. The circle graph shows the results of a survey of 150 students. How many students chose basketball as their favorite sport? This problem gives us survey data, a pie chart, and asks how many students chose basketball as their favorite sport. I see an 8% in the wedge for basketball, so I'm going to pick that choice. Aw, rats, that seemed too easy. Let's take a step back and try again. Since 150 students were asked, the percentage doesn't equal the number of students. Instead, we need to multiply the percentage by the total, so 8% times 150. For the first 100 students, 8% equals 8 students. For the remaining 50, 8% equals 4 students. This means 12 students total. Whew, now that's just a small sliver of practice questions to give you an idea about how these concepts are assessed on your test. Congratulations on finishing the video. If you found it helpful, give it a like. There's still plenty more to learn. Did you know that thousands of teachers have passed their certification exams using our study guides? If you really want to make sure you're prepared for the mathematics portion of the Praxis Elementary Education Multiple Subjects exam, take the next step and subscribe to the 240 Study Guide. It has hours of videos, so you can watch or listen while doing chores. It's test aligned, so you know precisely what you need to study. And it has hundreds of practice questions, so you can be sure you're ready. And it has the money-back guarantee. So click the link below right now to get started.